What happens when the 21-year-old daughter of a luxury hotel billionaire falsely accuses a maid of stealing her diamond bracelet, gets the woman fired, and then brags about it on Instagram, only to discover that the entire incident was caught on hotel security cameras? That's the story of Chloe Harrington and the night she walked into Judge Judy's courtroom thinking she was there to clear up a misunderstanding, but walked out with her reputation shredded in front of millions. On paper, Chloe had it all. Her father, William Harrington, owned the Harrington Plaza, chain 32 luxury hotels from New York to Dubai, net worth $3.1 billion. Chloe grew up in presidential suites and private jets. By 19, she had a black Amex, a Range Rover, and a closet full of clothes that cost more than her housekeeper made in a year. By 21, she had something even more powerful. Followers. 680,000 on Instagram, 1.2 million on TikTok. Brand deals, invitations to exclusive parties, VIP lists. Her entire life was content, and every minor inconvenience became relatable rich girl problems for her audience on the other side of the city, in a tiny one-bedroom apartment above a laundromat. Lived Lila Santos, 45, immigrant, single mother of 2, for 12 years. Lila had worked as a room attendant at the Harrington Plaza Midtown. 6 days a week, 8 hours a day, sometimes more. She cleaned up after bachelor parties, corporate retreats, and cheating spouses. She scrubbed things that couldn't be unseen, swallowed insults from drunk guests, and smiled through back pain so bad she sometimes cried on the subway home, but the job paid $19 an hour. It came with health insurance that covered her youngest son's asthma medication. It gave her just enough stability to keep her kids in school and the landlord off her back. 3 weeks before, Chloe and Lila would face each other in Judge Judy's courtroom. Their worlds collided on the 47th floor of the Harrington Plaza. It was a Saturday night. Chloe and 3 of her influencer friends had booked the penthouse suite for what she called a staycation content weekend. Rooms dripped in marble and gold. Floor-to-ceiling windows showed the Manhattan skyline glittering like jewelry. The daily rate on that suite was more than Lila's monthly rent. Chloe arrived with 5 designer suitcases, 3 garment bags, 2 ring lights, and one very important item, a platinum tennis bracelet worth $28,000. A birthday gift from her father. She made sure to show it to her followers. New baby. She cooed into her phone, holding out her wrist. Try not to be poor and jealous. The comments exploded. By midnight, the penthouse looked like a battlefield of discarded shopping bags, takeout containers, and empty champagne bottles. Music pounded. TikToks were filmed. Chloe's bracelet flashed on her wrist in every story. At 2:15 a.m., she drunkenly stumbled into the bedroom, pulled off her heels, and flopped face first onto the bed, phone still in hand. Somewhere between posting a blurry selfie and texting an ex, she unclasped the bracelet and set it on the nightstand. The next morning, everything changed. Housekeeping schedule said 47:01. Penthouse suite. Service requested at 9 a.m. Lila knocked twice, called housekeeping, and hearing no answer, used her master key. She'd cleaned this suite dozens of times. It always amazed her how people with the most things respected them the least. 4 hours later, Chloe burst into the lobby, sunglasses on. Phone recording. "I need the manager," she announced loudly, pointing the camera at her own distressed face. "Someone in this hotel stole from me. My bracelet is gone." The manager, a man named David who'd survived 15 years of wealthy tantrums, tried to calm her. "Miss Harrington, are you sure you didn't misplace it? We can check. I know exactly where I left it," she snapped, flipping her hair. "On the nightstand. And the only person who's been in that room since his housekeeping." She spun the camera around, capturing the shocked face of the front desk clerk. "I guess even 5-star hotels hire thieves now," she said to her followers. Within an hour, security had pulled the logs. Only one staff key had opened the room that morning. Al Santos. Lila was called into the manager's office mid-shift. She walked in still wearing her housekeeping uniform, hands smelling of bleach and linen polish. "Lila," David said quietly, Miss Harrington is missing a piece of jewelry. She says it was on the nightstand before you cleaned. Lila's heart dropped. Sir, I didn't see any jewelry. I would never... You've been with us 12 years, he acknowledged. Your record is clean. But her father owns half the hotels in the city. She's demanding action. We have to investigate. That same afternoon, Chloe posted a story that would haunt her. A selfie, eyes watery, lips in a pout. Text overlaid in white. Imagine cleaning hotel rooms for a living and still deciding to steal from your betters. Some people are just born trash. She added, hashtag peasant behavior, hashtag stay mad. Her followers ate it up. I'd sue. Throw her in jail. Poor people always jealous of the rich. By 6 p.m., Lila was escorted to the staff locker room by security. We're suspending you pending investigation, they told her. Turn in your badge and key. Her cheeks burned as coworkers watched her empty her locker into a plastic bag. She thought about the rent due in 10 days. Her daughter's community college deposit. Her son's inhaler running low. She thought about the bracelet she'd never even seen. 3 days later, with no evidence but one girl's accusation, Harrington Plaza terminated Lila for violation of trust. Termination for theft, a mark no hotel in the city would touch. When the letter came, she sat at the small kitchen table with her daughter Isabel and read it 3 times, not understanding the words. Then she started to cry out. Isabel, 19, grabbed her hand. We'll fight it, Mama, she said. This isn't right. Fight who? Lila thought bitterly, a billionaire's daughter with 500,000 followers. But the universe has a way of putting the right person in the right hallway at the right time, because 2 days before Lila's termination became official, someone else had watched a very different angle of the story on a small monitor in the security office. Isaac Morales, night shift security supervisor, had rewound the penthouse hallway footage to check a malfunctioning camera. What he saw on the screen made him sit up straighter. Timestamp 8:12 a.m. There was Chloe, barefaced in an oversized hoodie, stumbling out of 4701 with her phone in one hand and something glittering on her wrist, the same wrist she swore had been bare. When housekeeping came, Isaac stared at the footage, then at the printed termination notice he'd seen on the manager's desk. He thought of Lila, who'd brought homemade empanadas for the staff every Christmas. He thought of the smirk on Chloe's face in her IG story calling someone trash. Isaac reached for a blank USB drive. He had no idea his decision in that moment would drag a Harrington family scandal into the one courtroom where money doesn't impress anyone. Judge Judy's asterisk. The day Chloe Harrington walked into Judge Judy's courtroom, she acted like she was arriving at a photo shoot. Her hair was professionally blown out. Her lashes were perfect. She wore a white blazer dress that looked more runway than courthouse, a $9,000 Hermes bag on her arm, and the kind of heels that said she never had to run for anything in her life. But it was her face that made the gallery murmur. Expression, a lazy half smile that said, I've already won. As bailiff Bird called, all rise. The entire courtroom stood, everyone except Chloe. She stayed seated, thumb still scrolling through Instagram, until Judge Judy's eyes locked on her like a laser sight. Miss Harrington, Judge Judy said sharply, not even fully settled behind the bench. You stand when I enter. This is not a nightclub. Up. Chloe jumped, cheeks flushing as she scrambled to her feet. Sorry, she muttered, rolling her eyes slightly. Didn't realize we were starting already. Lila stood at the plaintiff's table in a simple navy dress, hands clasped tightly in front of her. It looked like she'd ironed it 3 times. Her shoes were scuffed at the toes. Isabel sat behind her in the gallery, chin held high, jaw clenched. Bailiff Bird read the case. Santos versus Harrington. Alleged wrongful termination, defamation, and emotional distress. Judge Judy scanned the file for a beat, then looked up, taking in both women. Miss Santos, she said, tone softening a fraction. You worked at the Harrington Plaza Hotel for 12 years? Yes, Your Honor, Lila replied, voice small but clear. No write-ups. No complaints. No prior accusations. No, Your Honor. And you, Miss Harrington, she turned sharply. You're the one who accused her of stealing a bracelet worth $28,000. Chloe nodded casually. Yes, it went missing from my room the morning after she cleaned it. Judge Judy folded her hands. Asterisk. We'll hear from Miss Santos first. Then we'll get to you. Chloe sank into her chair like she was watching a movie she'd already spoiled. Miss Santos, Judge Judy said, tell me what happened. Take your time. Start from the morning of March 4th. Lila took a shaky breath. She described the penthouse assignment, the knock on the door, the empty suite, the scattered clothes and makeup, the champagne glasses on every surface, the smell of expensive perfume barely hiding the odor of still alcohol. I cleaned like always, she said. I changed the sheets, took out the trash, wiped the tables. I did not see any jewelry. If I saw it, I would leave it on the nightstand and call my supervisor. Her hands twisted in front of her as she spoke. The next day, they called me to the office, she continued. They said a guest accused me of stealing her bracelet. I told them I never saw it. They said the guest was very important and that the hotel cannot take that risk. They sent me home. 3 days later, they fired me. And what was the reason on the termination letter? Judge Judy asked. Violation of trust. Suspected theft. Lila's voice broke slightly on the last words. Judge. Judy slid a paper from the file and glanced at it. Do you have any other source of income, Miss Santos? She asked. No, Your Honor. I cleaned houses on weekends sometimes, but mostly the hotel. And since your termination? No one will hire me, she said. They ask why I left the hotel. I have to tell the truth. No one wants to hire someone fired for stealing. Isabel's eyes glistened behind her. Judge Judy nodded slowly, then shifted her gaze. Miss Harrington, she said, your turn. What happened to your bracelet? Chloe adjusted her blazer, sat up straighter, and launched into her version like she'd practiced it in front of a mirror. I checked into the penthouse for the weekend. She began. We went out, came back late. I remember taking off my bracelet and putting it on the nightstand next to my bed. The next morning, it was gone. The only person who had access to the room was housekeeping. That's pretty obvious, right? She gestured vaguely toward Lila without looking at her. Judge Judy's eyes sharpened. Did you search your luggage? Your clothing? Your car? Of course, Chloe said. I tore everything apart. It wasn't there. It had to be stolen. Did you file a police report? Chloe hesitated. No, the hotel said they would handle it internally. My dad's legal team reached out too. It was easier that way. Easier for whom? Judge Judy asked pointedly. You or Miss Santos? Chloe shrugged. For everyone. Look, I didn't ask them to fire her. I just told them what happened. Actions have consequences. She said it with a kind of smug confidence. That comes from never having actually experienced any. Judge Judy's gaze went even colder. Let's talk about your social media posts, she said. On March 4th, you posted the following to your public Instagram story. She picked up a printed screenshot. Imagine cleaning hotel rooms for a living and still deciding to steal from your betters. Some people are just born trash. Hashtag peasant behavior. Hashtag stay mad. Ripple of disgust moved through the courtroom. Chloe's cheeks colored. It was a joke, she said quickly. People know my humor. It's just edgy. Did you mention Miss Santos by name? Judge Judy asked. No, Chloe said. I didn't tag her. I just said housekeeping. So you broadcast to 600,000 followers that someone at that specific hotel whose job is housekeeping is trash and a thief. Judge Judy summarized. You don't see how that might affect a real person's life? Chloe rolled her eyes. Your Honor, people get dragged online every day. It's not that deep. If she didn't do anything, why is she so pressed? Lila flinched. Isabel sat forward, fury in her eyes. My mom lost her job. She burst out. She almost lost our apartment. I had to drop a semester because we couldn't afford tuition. Sit down, Judge Judy said, holding up a hand. You'll have your turn later, young lady. Reluctantly, Isabel sat, biting her lip hard. Judge Judy turned back to Chloe. Double quotes, Miss Harrington, Did you ever find the bracelet? She asked. Chloe blinked. Excuse me? The bracelet, Judge Judy repeated. The $28,000 bracelet? Did you ever find it? A flicker of something annoyance, fear, crossed Chloe's face. No, she lied smoothly. It's gone. That's why we're here. Judge Judy watched her for a long, silent beat. Is that your final answer? She asked. Yes. Chloe said. Judge Judy folded her glasses and placed them carefully on the bench. Interesting, she said quietly. Because the security footage tells a very different story. Chloe's smugness faltered. Footage? She repeated. Yes, Judge Judy said. From the hallway outside your suite. From your own car. And from a little boutique on Madison Avenue. We're gonna watch all of it, together. She nodded to Bailiff Bird. Bring in the monitor. Chloe's stomach dropped. She'd come into this courtroom thinking, worst case, she'd get a lecture. Maybe be told to apologize. Maybe Dad would write a check. She hadn't considered the one thing her entire life was built on. Video. Turning on her. The large monitor rolled into place. The black screen reflecting worried faces from both tables. Bailiff Bird plugged in a USB drive. Isaac had handed over to production 3 days earlier. On the drive, the truth, Judge Judy addressed the room. No one speaks while this plays, she said. We will start with Exhibit A. Hallway footage from the 47th floor of the Harrington Plaza. The video began, grainy but clear enough. Timestamp, 8:12 a.m. Chloe stepped out of the penthouse. Hair messy, oversized hoodie, sunglasses perched on top of her head. She yawned, fumbled with her phone. As she reached to push her hair back, the camera caught a brief, unmistakable glint on her left wrist, a thin band of diamonds. Judge Judy paused the video and zoomed in. Miss Harrington, she said calmly, is that your bracelet? Chloe swallowed. It looks like it, yes. And this is you leaving the room before Miss Santos arrived? Yes, she admitted. So your statement that the bracelet was last seen on the nightstand before housekeeping entered was false. Chloe shifted on her feet. I must have forgotten I put it back on. That doesn't mean we're not done, Judge Judy said sharply. Play Exhibit B. The footage switched to a grainy view from a subterranean parking garage. Timestamp 8:19 a.m. Chloe's Range Rover pulled into frame. The driver's side door opened. She got out, still in the hoodie, bracelet flashing as she grabbed her steering wheel. She tossed her bag into the passenger seat, checked her phone, then drove off. Judge Judy didn't need to pause this time. The car you drove to your 10 a.m. Pilates class? She asked. Yes, Chloe muttered, with the bracelet still on your wrist. Silence. Now, Exhibit C, Judge Judy said. Security camera from the boutique Mason door on Madison Avenue, time-stamped 10:43 a.m. The feed changed, asterisk, a high-end jewelry store interior. Chloe and a friend giggled their way in, handling velvet trays like toys. A sales associate approached, smiling politely. The audio was faint but present. And I'd like to see something that goes with this bracelet, Chloe said. Lifting her arm, the diamonds glittered under the store lights. The associate leaned closer. Beautiful piece. Cartier. Custom. Chloe preened. Judge Judy paused the video so the image of Chloe proudly showing off her wrist filled the screen. Miss Harrington, do you still want to tell this court that you never saw the bracelet again after leaving it on the nightstand? She asked. Chloe's carefully curated composure detonated. I forgot that day, okay? She blurted. I was hungover. It was chaos. I thought it went missing later, after I got back. Liar, Isabel whispered from the gallery. Too low for most to hear, but loud enough for Chloe to flinch. Judge Judy's gaze hardened. Sit down. Miss Harrington, she ordered. We are not finished with the evidence. Chloe obeyed, legs suddenly weak. Exhibit D, Judge Judy continued. A screen recording of Miss Harrington's private friends, only. Instagram story from the night before Miss Santos was terminated. Asterisk, the monitor now showed a vertical video. Chloe sat cross-legged on her bed, hair wrapped in a towel, wearing a silk robe. The little close friends green ring glowed around her profile picture. Caption scrolled as she spoke. So, tiny update on the stolen bracelet saga. Video, Chloe said, making air quotes. I might have found it in my gym bag. She laughed, a high, careless sound. But whatever. I'm not going to, run back and tell them I lied. They already fired the maid or whatever. Actions have consequences. Maybe she stole from someone else. Not my problem. Real time. Chloe went absolutely. Still, several people in the gallery gasped out. Loud. Judge Judy's eyebrows climbed slightly, but her voice remained. Ice, did you or did you not post that video? To a private list of your friends? She asked. Chloe's lips trembled. Someone must have leaked it. That's illegal. Did you post it? Judge Judy repeated. Yes, Chloe whispered. So, Judge Judy said slowly, the truth is, you lost your bracelet. Assumed it was stolen, accused Miss Santos without evidence. Got her fired, later found the bracelet. And deliberately chose not to correct your accusation because, and I quote, not my problem. She let the words hang in the air. I was going to. Chloe protested weakly. I didn't think they'd really fire her. I thought they'd just, warn her. It wasn't that serious. Not that serious? Judge Judy's voice rose for the first time. You destroyed a woman's career with a lie. I didn't mean, meaning is irrelevant. Consequences are not. She turned to Layla. Miss Santos, did anyone from the hotel ever tell you Miss Harrington found her bracelet? Lila shook her head. No, Your Honor, they said the decision was final. Judge Judy nodded once sharply. And now, the final piece of evidence, she said. Exhibit E, a group chat screenshot recovered from one of Miss Harrington's so-called friends. Chat title, Rich Girl Problems. Chloe closed her eyes. The monitor displayed a list of messages. Chloe, oh my god, so hotel fired my maid. Jenna, wait, did she actually take it? Chloe, I found the bracelet later. But she had to have stolen from someone at some point, they all do. Ava, you should tell them, Chloe, and admit I was wrong. To the help? Hard pass. The last two words were underlined in red. Judge Judy looked directly at Chloe. The help, she repeated slowly. You know what Miss Santos helped you with, Miss Harrington? Not having to see the mess you leave behind. She gestured at the monitor. This, she said, is not just arrogance. This is cruelty. Chloe's eyes filled with tears. For the first time, they weren't performative. Your Honor, I was stupid, she stammered. I was joking. I didn't think. No, Judge Judy cut in. You didn't think. Because for 21 years, no one has made you. She picked up her pen. I have seen enough. I'm ready to rule. Chloe gripped the edge of the table so hard her knuckles turned white. This was the moment she'd secretly been sure would go differently, that the judge would scold her. Maybe make her apologize, then move on. Instead, she watched as Judge Judy, with a few strokes of a pen, began dismantling a life where lying about the help had never cost her anything. Asterisk. Judge Judy straightened the papers before her and fixed Chloe with a stare that could have cut through steel. Miss Harrington, stand up. Chloe rose on unsteady legs. The click of her heels suddenly too loud in the silent room. Here is what we have, Judge Judy began. You accused Miss Santos of theft without evidence. You posted about it publicly, calling her and people like her trash and peasants to hundreds of thousands of followers. As a result, she lost a job she'd held with an unblemished record for 12 years. You later found the bracelet, knew she'd been fired, and chose not to correct the record because it would be embarrassing to admit you were wrong. To the help. Then you lied about all of this under oath until the video proved otherwise. Each sentence hit like a blow. Chloe's mascara began to smear. Judge Judy turned to Lila. Miss Santos, how much did you earn at the Harrington Plaza annually? About $39,000, Your Honor, Lila said softly. And how long have you been unemployed? 3 months. Have you found any comparable work? No, Your Honor, she replied. I cleaned some apartments for cash, but nothing steady. Back rent? Judge Judy asked. 2 months behind, Lila admitted. Shame flickering across her face, Judge Judy scribbled numbers. For wrongful termination caused by Miss Harrington's false accusation, I am awarding you lost wages of 9 months at your previous salary to allow time to find new employment. That's $29,250. She read it down. For emotional distress, reputational damage, and the trauma of being branded a thief in front of coworkers and prospective employers, I am awarding the maximum this court allows, $5,000. Her pen moved again. For court costs and fees, $1,750. She looked up. Total judgment, $36,000 against you personally. Miss Harrington. Chloe's mouth dropped open. 36. I don't have that, she choked out. That's a car. That's a year of your victim's life, Judge Judy snapped. You will liquidate whatever you must, bags, jewelry, whatever trinkets you value more than honesty to pay this judgment. Not your father, you. Tears spilled down Chloe's cheeks. Your Honor, please, she said. I swear I didn't understand. I was just talking. I was angry. I didn't think they'd actually fire her, and yet they did, Judge Judy said. Because people like you are taken seriously when you point at people like Miss Santos and shout thief. You wield power casually, like a toy, and other people pay the price. She wasn't finished. Now, she continued, money alone is insufficient here. You did not just cost Miss Santos a paycheck. You humiliated her. You turned her into a caricature for your followers. Therefore, additional conditions are appropriate. Chloe's shoulders shook. Judge Judy's voice went cold. First, she said, you will make a public video statement on every platform where you defamed hotel staff in general, and Miss Santos in particular. In that video, you will admit that your accusation was false, that you found the bracelet, and that Miss Santos never stole anything from you. You will apologize to her by name. The video will remain pinned to your profiles for at least 1 year. Comments will remain on. That will ruin my brand, Chloe whispered. Your brand is exactly what caused this damage, Judge Judy shot back. Consider this a recall on a defective product. The gallery chuckled harshly. Second, Judge Judy continued, you will write a formal letter to the Harrington Plaza's HR department and management, retracting your accusation and stating clearly that Miss Santos should not have been terminated. Whether they reinstate her is their business, but the record will reflect your lie. She turned to the back row. Mr. Harrington, she called. I assume you're here. A tall man in a dark suit stood. William Harrington looked every inch the billionaire tailored clothes. Silver hair, practiced neutrality, but his eyes were heavy. Yes. Your Honor, he said. Do you understand that your hotel's actions were based on your daughter's false report? She asked. Yes, he replied quietly. I was informed of the situation. Do you intend to honor this court's ruling and remove any notation of theft from Miss Santos's employment record? Yes, Your Honor, he said. Effective immediately. Good, Judge Judy said. Because if I hear otherwise, I will personally see that this footage finds its way to every station and paper in this city. He nodded once. Understood. Chloe looked at her father, eyes pleading. Daddy, please, she whispered. Tell her this is too much. You can fix it. For a long moment, he simply looked at her dot. Then he said words she never expected. No, Chloe, he said softly. I've been fixing things for you your whole life. This, you did. And you'll fix it. Her sob turned into a shocked gasp. Judge Judy seized the moment. Third, she said, you will perform 200 hours of community service at a housekeeping level. Not some glamorous charity gala where you can pose for photos. Real work. You will report every Saturday and Sunday for 6 months. 4-hour shifts, cleaning hotel rooms in a partner property, not one owned by your father. You will strip beds, scrub bathrooms, empty trash. Under supervision. Chloe stared at her, horrified. You're making me a maid? She choked. I'm giving you a crash course in the life you dismissed as trash, Judge Judy replied. Perhaps after scrubbing toilets for strangers, you'll think twice before calling the people who do it for you peasants. Her voice softened, but only slightly as she looked at Lila. "Miss Santos, you may, if you wish, choose not to work at Harrington again," she said. "That is entirely your decision, but your name will be cleared." Lila's lips trembled. "Thank you." "Your Honor," she whispered, and finally, Judge Judy continued, turning once more to Chloe. "For the next year, 10% of all income from your brand deals and sponsorships will be directed into a fund managed by Miss Santos's legal representative, to be used for scholarships or emergency assistance for hotel staff wrongfully accused or injured on the job. My money?" Chloe managed. "You're taking my—" "Yes," Judge Judy cut in mercilessly. "Perhaps you'll learn that wealth is not just for handbags and parties. It comes with responsibility. Something your father's money shielded you from until today." She leaned forward, eyes blazing. "Miss Harrington, you will walk out of here today in designer shoes and a clean record. Miss Santos walked in here with years of back pain, 2 months back rent, and a letter calling her a thief. You've lost some jewelry and, I hope, your illusions. She almost lost everything. Remember that every time you think about complaining that life is unfair." Chloe was openly sobbing now, shoulders shaking. Judge Judy's final words cut through the sound like a blade. "You may be rich, Miss Harrington," she said, "but today you are morally bankrupt. The only question is whether you'll stay that way." She raised her gavel. "Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $36,000 plus conditions as stated. Court is adjourned." The crack of wood on wood echoed like a door slamming shut on Chloe's old life. Asterisk. The clip of Chloe's tear-streaked face as Judge Judy read her sentence hit the internet before the credits finished rolling. Someone recorded their TV and uploaded it. Another ripped the official feed. Edits, reaction videos, breakdowns within 24 hours. Hashtag The Help Is Human was trending in 3 countries. For the first time in her life, Chloe's name trended for something she didn't control. Comments flooded every account she had. Imagine having this much privilege and still lying. Justice for Lila. Scrub those toilets. Princess. Some told her to disappear forever. Others said, "We'll see if you change." Asterisk 3 days later, a new video appeared at the top of all her profiles. No makeup, no filters, just Chloe. Sitting on a plain couch in a simple t-shirt, hands clasped so tightly her knuckles were white. "My name is Chloe Harrington," she began, voice rough. And I lied. She didn't polish it, she didn't spin, she read, line by line, the truth Judge Judy had forced her to face. "I accused a woman named Lila Santos of stealing my bracelet," she said. "I did it without proof. She lost her job because of me. I later found the bracelet and didn't tell anyone, because I didn't want to admit I was wrong to the help. I said horrible things about her and people like her on my social media. None of it was a joke. It was cruelty. I am sorry. Not because I got caught, because I hurt someone who did nothing wrong." At the end, she looked straight into the camera. Asterisk, Miss Santos. She said, voice breaking, "I don't expect you to forgive me, but I am going to do every hour, pay every dollar, and spend the rest of my life trying to be someone who deserves the mercy you showed me." The video racked up 20 million views in 2 days. The comments were split. Some called it PR. Some called it the bare minimum, but a surprising number said, "Okay, now do the work." And she did. The first Saturday of her court-ordered community service, Chloe showed up at a mid-range hotel across town. Not in designer clothes, but in a plain uniform, hair pulled back under a cap. The housekeeping supervisor, a stern woman named Marta, handed her a cart. "Rooms 304 to 312, she said. "Strip, make beds, bathrooms, vacuum. No phones. We work." The first room broke her. She'd never made a bed with hospital corners. Never scrubbed a shower drain clogged with someone else's hair. Never knelt on cold tile to wipe behind a toilet dot. By the 3rd room, her back ached. By the 5th, her nails were chipped. By the end of the 4-hour shift, her arms shook with exhaustion. Now imagine doing that 8 hours a day. 6 days a week, Marta said, watching her rub her lower back. For 20 years. Chloe didn't have an answer. Week after week, she showed up. Some guests recognized her. A few smirked. One asked for a selfie. Can you hold the vacuum for the pic? He joked. She almost refused. Then she thought of Judge Judy's voice. You wield power casually, like a toy, and other people pay the price. So she gripped the vacuum handle and forced it tight. Smile. Not for clout. For accountability. The first time she saw Lila again outside court was a month later. They passed each other in the break room at a workers' rights clinic, where Chloe had been sent to attend a workshop as part of her conditions. Lila was there to look into legal help for another housekeeper being unfairly written up. They froze. For a moment, all the words rehearsed in Chloe's head vanished. Then Lila broke the silence. You look tired, she said quietly. I am, Chloe admitted. I never knew how much work it is. Lila studied her for a long moment. You have never had to know, she said. That is the difference. Chloe nodded, shame heavy. I paid the first installment of the judgment, she said softly. I sold some bags. A watch. My stuff. It's not enough, I know, but it's a start, Lila said. Her voice wasn't warm, but it wasn't ice anymore either. As the months passed, the fund Judge Judy ordered, managed by a small nonprofit, began to grow. 10% of every sponsorship Chloe still had left flowed into it, matched by a contribution from her father, who, under public pressure, had agreed to donate a portion of his hotel's profits. They called it the Santos Fund. Its mission: help service workers who'd been falsely accused, injured, or threatened into silence. In its first year, it paid legal fees for a dishwasher wrongfully blamed for a fire. It covered rent for a bellhop suspended after a guest lied about missing jewelry. It helped a housekeeper replace a phone a guest had deliberately smashed. Each case felt like a tiny repair to a massive, broken system. Meanwhile, Lila's life slowly stabilized, with a letter from William Harrington clearing her record. She secured a job at a different hotel, one with a union, higher pay, and better protections. The back rent was caught up. Isabel enrolled in college, majoring in labor studies after sitting in on one of the Santos Fund's meetings. I want to make sure what happened to you doesn't keep happening to other people, she told her. Mother. 6 months after the episode aired, a journalist at a major magazine wrote a long piece titled, When the Help Fights Back, How One Judge Judy Case Sparked a Conversation About Class. The article included stills from the courtroom. Chloe's eye roll, the damning chat screenshot, the look on Lila's face when the judgment was read, but the photo that went the most viral was taken after the story was done. It showed Chloe and Lila standing side by side at a small check presentation ceremony for the Santos Fund's 10th grant. Chloe's posture was slightly hunched, hands clasped in front of her. Lila's shoulders were straight, chin up, eyes tired but clear. They weren't friends, not yet, maybe not ever, but they were something else, linked forever by a lie that had turned into a lesson. In a rare interview months later, Judge Judy was asked about the case. She didn't talk about ratings. She didn't talk about going viral. She said this: people like to say, it's just words. It's just online. It's just content. But when you point at someone with less power than you and say, thief, trash, peasant, the world believes you. Doors close for them. Opportunities vanish. We showed in that case that the opposite can also be true. When you point at that same person and say, innocent, valuable, human, doors can open again. That's justice. If this story hit you, don't just scroll. Share it with someone who thinks it's just a joke, is an excuse for anything. Like the video if you believe workers deserve respect, not accusations. Subscribe for more stories where privilege walks into Judge Judy's courtroom and dignity walks out standing taller, because money can buy a room. It can't buy you the right to call the people who clean it less.